Hey, Dream Drivers. Welcome to episode 136 of the Dreams and Drive podcast. And today's episode is going to be a solo episode. I want to talk about the topic of really understanding what the real problem is. And we're also going to do a Q&A with some listener questions. So get ready for that. But before we get into today's episode, as always, if you are not already following us on social media, please follow Dreams and Drive across the board. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I also would love it if you subscribe to us with wherever you're listening to this podcast. So whether it be Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeart, Google Play, wherever, hit subscribe if you haven't already, just to make sure that you get notifications every time we have a new episode. So I'm going to make this to the point, and I want to tell you guys a story, right? So as you know, I launched the Dreams and Drive shop this past week. And it's interesting, right? Because I had my first round of merchandise run I think I first released that run in December. And listen, I was getting orders like crazy, but I was doing everything through PayPal and Cash App. And it was kind of time consuming. It wasn't necessarily passive income because if I didn't send a request or if I wasn't directly talking to people, I wasn't making sales. But at the same time, I was also getting a lot of direct one-on-one contact with people, interacting with people. So I felt like although I did not launch with an e-commerce store the first time I did my own personal merchandise run and not using a drop shipper, I do think it was worthwhile, right? Because I learned what people thought about during the sales process. I learned about, how long it takes people to actually go from saying, hey, I want something to actually buying it. I learned what types of sales prompts converted. So people love seeing pictures. They love seeing pictures of other people wearing the stuff. They love seeing pictures of me wearing the stuff. That really helped them convert. They like when I talked about it in Instagram stories. Like I got more sales on Instagram through any other channel. So I was learning about my customers, right? So the second time around, I said, I'm not going to do that. It was learning. It was a test. I'm going to launch an e-commerce store. And I said that for about a month and I didn't do it. So I had to push myself. I said, all right, I got to order this merchandise. I did surveys online. So I added another type of product, hoodies, to this round of stuff. I got the whole stuff made. The shirts came in and I said, damn, I still didn't make this. I still didn't make this store. Like what was going on? Like why didn't I make this store? And I had to really think about it. I think I was scared of trying to figure out how to make a store. I mean, I could have hired someone to do it. That could have definitely been an answer. But even then, it's like figuring out who's going to be the right, developer to create a store for me. I had to figure out which platform I was going to use. Shopify, Volusion, WooCommerce, whatever, right? I realized I like the idea of selling. I like the idea of being creative, but I didn't like the idea of having to figure out the tactical stuff because that was not my strong suit. And because of that, I put off creating a store for so long until the very end when I absolutely had to, because I was not going to sit on this inventory for months on end and not have a way to sell it. So this past weekend, I sat down in the kitchen, had my computer on the kitchen table, and I took tutorials online. I figured out what was working best for me. I went with WooCommerce. I made my site in like a day. No lie. I made my site in a day. And by that night, I got it up and running, and I launched that Monday with episode 135, and I got maybe like 2 sales, right? So I thought I would launch and I thought I'd get mad sales. I had a free shipping offer. I had a 10% coupon, but still people weren't buying. So I could have said, oh, I'm going to stop. I'm never going to do this again. But I didn't say that. I guess it's just back to the drawing board. And that's where I am right now, figuring out how to move these units because I have about 140 units that I need to move out. A mixture of hoodies, crew necks, and t-shirts. I'm figuring it out. But that's the thing that's really exciting. It's like this whole figuring it out process. But I realized for myself that I would get stuck when I couldn't figure out how to figure things out. or when I didn't want to figure out how to figure things out because it was not in my area of expertise. If it had something to do with podcasting or being creative, like I would dive in, no problem. But because it was more on the tactical end, I just avoided it until I couldn't avoid it anymore. But I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I hadn't avoided that? What would have happened if I just saw that challenge as something that I could conquer and went into it confidently? So why did I tell you this whole story about my whole e-commerce struggles and trying to figure out how to move these units or whatever? I'm telling you this because sometimes we lie to ourselves. Sometimes we spend so much time telling ourselves these stories about why we're not doing something, when these stories that we're telling ourselves are complete lies. Complete lies. It wasn't that I was lazy why I didn't start this store. It wasn't that, I couldn't do it. It was that I had this fear of really diving into an area that I didn't feel confident in. And that's something that has always been my struggle, getting out of my comfort zone. I could stay in my comfort zone until I wear a seat in the sofa. I'm telling you. And after a while, how is that going to help with progression, right? So I had to literally be forced with me doing everything that I love doing and then coming back to this idea of Raina, like you cannot keep sending Cash App and PayPal invoices for the rest of your life. If you want to truly build a scalable business, you need to get this site up and running because that's how new age 21st century consumers are buying products. What are you doing? And then once I actually got into it, I realized, wait, I'm actually pretty good at figuring things out. I'm actually, pretty good on this back end for somebody who's never set up an e-commerce site before. Google and tutorials are your friend. But I had to get really real with myself and say, like, Raina, stop tripping. Stop wasting time. Stop pretending like you don't know what you're doing. And it's all right if this is something that you might fail at. And that was the real problem for me. Maybe the real problem is I was scared of it failing. I was scared of launching and it would be horrible because I work in the e-commerce fulfillment space. So I know what can go wrong on the back end. And I want you guys all to think about some area of your life that's not working the way you want it to work, right? And I know a lot of people in my personal life always get at me because I'm always complaining about how I'm trying to move out my parents' house. I still live at home. I'm always complaining. I want to move out. I want to move out. I want to move out. I'm going to move out. I'll go on these apartment hunts. I'll have these months where I'm like looking at apartments every day and I still didn't move out. And one time my mom said to me, and this was the real blow in my face, I told her how I was moving out. I proclaimed it. I manifested it. And she laughed at me. And she said, Raina, if you really wanted to move out, you would have moved out already. And I was like, damn, Mom, like, why are you sad? I got really upset. It made me so upset that I went and looked for some new apartments. And so when I thought about it, I was like, wow, she does have a point there. What's the lie that I'm telling myself about me moving out? Why haven't I moved out? And I think once again, it comes to that idea of fear. Like I keep telling myself, yeah, I'm ready. I want to go. Yeah, I got it. Money's not the issue. I got money in the bank. That's the conversation I was having with myself, but still I haven't moved. So it's that alignment. How much do you really want it? And how much is that aligned with how much you're willing to do to get to it? And if those two things aren't in alignment in our lives, then I've found that you're going to have a lot of trouble getting to your dream, a lot of trouble finishing and accomplishing that goal. So we have to do the work to really figure out what's in that fuzzy space and why aren't we performing the way we want to perform, right? I had to do the work to be like, what's the real issue of why you can't commit to an apartment when you find one, or why you can't commit to a deadline you set for yourself? That's what I'm working on, guys, is really being clear about what the real problem is in our lives. Because sometimes with being dream drivers, we can get stuck and caught up in this whole idea of what dream driving means. And then when it comes down to things that we have to do, we just stray away from it. Here's the last thing I want to say about this. It all came full circle for me. Before I even was going to launch an e-commerce store, I was going to do an ebook. I started writing the ebook. I had it outlined. I was going to put it up for sale or whatever. Because I see a lot of people out here making ebooks, and some of them are trash. I'm just saying, like, some of them are not even good. But I had this really good idea for an ebook. Oh, and those people were selling, and those people were getting sales, whatever. So I would see this stuff and I'm like, wow, like I could do this too. Like I have stuff that I think it's actually quality, right? So when I did this whole e-commerce site, I realized, I was like, wait, the reason why I haven't finished this ebook is not these lies I've been telling myself about how I'm lazy and how I don't want to write and, I just can't focus with the writing or whatever. It was really because I was thinking about the tactical stuff that I wasn't sure about how to do. How am I going to get this out to people? How am I going to get paid? What payment gateway? What, online store am I going to use? It was connected to the same reason why I had procrastinated on building an online store. In order to have a legitimate ebook, whatever, I didn't want to do the whole PayPal and sending someone a file. Like, I wanted it to be automated. But I told myself the lie of, oh, Raina, you need to focus on the ebook and you're just being lazy. You need to find time to just sit down and crank it out. But even if I sat down and cranked it out, I probably would have still sat on it because I hadn't yet conquered or faced this reality of me being nervous about the technical and tactical stuff. So once again, as we dream drive, I want everyone to really be clear on identifying whether the stories we tell ourselves are true. And if not, what is the real thing? What's that thing that we're scared to face? And it may take some digging, but I'm telling you, once you do that digging, you'll be able to really uncover things. Like even with my podcast consulting sessions, which if you are a podcaster, I do hope that you sign up or you think about it. Go to dreamsanddrive.com/session to learn more. Even with the podcast consulting sessions, right? It was kind of the opposite. I was so hung up on like, do I know how to set up a page or whatever now, to get people to schedule and pay all in one part. And that was a part that I told people, that I told myself was the whole hiccup on why I hadn't launched it earlier. But then I had to get real with myself and I was like, wait, actually, the real issue is I was scared that people wouldn't think I'd be able to help them, that I wouldn't be able to get people results. And it took me confronting that to say, no, Raina, you can help people and you have helped people, and just pushing play on the whole campaign and letting it run out. And within the first 2 weeks, I got like 3 clients. And to me, that was a big win. And I was so scared going into those initial clients. But the feedback I got from them was so affirming to me. I was mad that I spent so much time doubting myself. That doubt, that fear that we hold within our bodies, that we hold within our dreams, that we carry along in the car with us as we're dream driving, that stuff will weigh us down. I'm telling you. That's the biggest thing that weighs us down. And I can't wait for you guys to hear this episode coming up. Well, I don't know when it's going to be aired as of yet, but I interviewed Dr. Joy of the Therapy for Black Girls podcast, and we talk about why doubt and fear are the biggest things that a lot of us creative entrepreneurs deal with. It's not the tactical stuff sometimes. It's sometimes those little micro I don't even know what to call them, micro things that we deal with that are the biggest contributors to why we're in park. So think about that along your journey. What are you carrying in the passenger seat that you are not looking at, right? You're just riding for miles and miles across states, across countries, whatever, getting airlifted by a helicopter into another country, like whatever. And you're not looking at it. You're riding with this and you're not taking the time to sit and get to know who's in your passenger seat. Because once you get to know who's in your passenger seat, you're going to be able to, we got to get to know who's in our passenger seat. So let's get to our listener question and answer. So if you are part of our Facebook group, which if you are not, definitely come on and join us, dreamsanddrive.com/Facebook, or you could search Dream Driver Mastermind the next time you're logged on. I had people sending questions and I just want to quickly respond to some of them. So this one is coming from Jessica, and her question is, how do you utilize mentors? So that's a great question. And that's actually something that I'm struggling with. So I've had mentors that I've kind of gotten over the years naturally. My first mentor is Gabrielle Simpson, who was a guest on the show. I think she was episode 74. Talking about networking. And Gabrielle was one of my bosses when I worked at CBS News as a college student. And we just developed a great relationship. And so that was more of a natural mentorship. So she's someone when I have professional questions or need career guidance, I can email, I can text, I can call, and I go to her for very specific things. I don't make her responsible for carving out my journey in life. No, but I do go to her when I'm at the gas station. So we're thinking about, this dream driving metaphor. She's someone where I see it, I need to pull off. I pull off at Gabby's house, or I pull off at texting Gabby. She's a designated rest stop along my journey for very specific things. So that's currently how I've been utilizing mentor-like figures in my life. People that I have found to be experts in specific industries. I'll go to them for very targeted questions. Now, I do wish I had a mentor that I could kind of go to for like general life stuff or just general career guidance. But for me, that really hasn't been my experience. I also would love a mentor who's in the podcasting space. But what I found right now is that my peers have become my mentors. So people who were all on this podcasting game together, we're all trying to like figure out how to get this stuff going. So Shay of Goals podcast has been someone who I've talked to. Art Steele, Stephen Hart, Barry from Podcasting Colors. Those are my podcasting peers that I talk to a lot when it comes to podcasting. And so that's how I've been able to utilize them. So although we're friends, although we're cool, I still see them as mentors when it comes to business. And I would encourage everybody who's listening in, your mentors don't necessarily have to be older than you. They don't necessarily have to be accomplished in all these different facets of life. They can be people who are on the same plane as you, but may have a different perspective and may be at a different point along their journey. I would just say whoever your mentor is, make sure that you are utilizing them in a way that is targeted and specific and not draining. Nobody wants to feel drained and nobody wants to feel like they are indebted, right? If someone is willing to give their time to you, make it worthwhile and always reciprocate. So give back to your mentor in some way. Maybe there's an area of life that you're good at that they need help at. Make yourself available in that sense. And I think you'll be able to really leverage and go far with all of your mentoring relationships. So this question is coming from Rebecca. And her question is, how do you make sure that social media doesn't influence your mindset and make you believe that the entrepreneurial world is so easy? Well, number one, that's the biggest thing that I have to tell myself every time, right? Every time I log onto Instagram or every time I just see social media and all the different platforms, you have to remember that social media is curated. People are showing you what they want to show you. And I think outside of social media, before you even get there, you have to develop this practice of not comparing yourself to others because everyone's journey is so different. Everyone's journey is so different. So if you take the time, if you make it part of your mindset and your practices, your daily practices to compare yourself, you're already going to be set up for failure because you won't have that awareness to not let what you see on social media make you think it's 100% real. It's not. That's why you have to take the time to do your own research. You need to take the time to really be clear on what it is that you want and what it is that you're building, and not get caught up in what you see in someone's filtered picture on Instagram or Snapchat or something. And it's hard. It's hard. I'm telling you, it's not easy. But I think that's also the part about it is a lot of people go into this thinking that this stuff is easy because they just went off someone's Instagram picture. You don't know what that person's struggling with. You don't know how long it took them to even take that picture. You don't know what's happening on the day-to-day behind the scenes. So I'm telling you, be a skeptic when you're on social media. Take it for what it is, but always be inquisitive, at least in the back of your mind, and think of the context of which this is being portrayed or being created. It's all on social media and people are creating it. They're being social. They're creating something. Please do not get caught up in, trying to take shortcuts because you saw someone take a shortcut on social media. You did not see that. You saw the end product that they showed you. Remember that always. Okay, so this question is coming from Andrea, and it's how do you maintain creativity and momentum with content? So, that's a good question. I think one of the biggest things that helps me maintain momentum is honestly setting up schedules and processes. I have to set expectations for myself. I have to know that I'm following some type of schedule. I have to schedule my momentum. Honestly, that's the biggest thing with momentum is figure out a way for you to keep going. And if you set expectations, if you set a schedule, you know what you're supposed to deliver, whether that's daily, weekly, monthly, or whatever. But you really, really have to, set up some type of process for yourself. And for me personally, I'm an ENFJ, extroverted, intuitive, feeling and judgmental person. And the biggest thing that I've learned is, for me personally, is I go by my feelings a lot. If I'm feeling like, all right, I'm getting things done, I keep at that until I don't feel it anymore. That's how I get things done. I don't know if it's sustainable. I don't know if it's the best for scaling. But right now, that's just how I operate is I try to create wins all the time in some type of way, small wins. I celebrate things, even if it's in my head. I have to keep myself constantly motivated. That's my personality. So what I like to do sometimes is I screenshot praise. I screenshot celebration. I screenshot when you guys tell me you like something. And those times when I'm feeling like low momentum, I go back and look at it and I use it as fuel to get myself going. You have to learn yourself. You have to learn how you work. And if you can master yourself, you can master your life. They always say if you can master your thoughts, you can master your life. If you can master yourself and you know how to navigate when things feel off or when, you want to get a certain result, I'm telling you, momentum is going to be easy for you to continue. It's going to be easy for you to stay motivated and creative if you are mastering yourself and you know when you need to refuel. All right, so the last question is coming from Lakimja. I think that's how you say it, girl. I'm sorry if I said it wrong. Her question is, what types of events do you hope to do in the new year? What are your goals? Do you have any collaborations or any interviews you're super excited about booking? So this year is all about growth. It's all about focus. I think I said this early in the year. I really want to get focused on specific things, monetization and growing the community. So that has really been the big thing on my mind. Types of events I want to do. Well, I want to do one live event of some sort. I'm trying to plan this meetup right now in New York City. People have been throwing out this podcast tour. I definitely want to be doing some more conferences and panel events. So be on the lookout for that. So collaborations. As I said, I'm trying to focus on monetization and audience growth. So I'm always looking for ways to collaborate in that sense. I do have some calls next week due to some cold pitches that I sent out, which are going to be hopefully cool. And I think you guys will like it if it goes through. Any interviews you're super excited about booking? Well, I'm really excited for episode 137 that you guys will hear with Jonathan Jackson. I wanted to do this episode because Black Panther came out last week and there was this shooting in Florida and all this stuff has just been coming out in the media. And I wanted to really do a piece on the importance of self-care and mental health, but coming from a Black man's perspective and letting him guide this conversation, because I think their voices have often been lacking in this conversation. So I think that's going to be really, really dope. So I'm excited for you guys to hear that. I have, some other great guests, but Jonathan, I want you guys to keep him top of mind. So yeah, this is going to be the end of this episode. It's real chill. I'm literally laying in my bed right now with the mic, just chilling. Thank you to everyone who's listened to the past two episodes. Lucinda Cross, episode 134. And Beatrice Faye Lewis Spada, episode 135. Lucinda's episode, you guys were really hitting me up with that one, and Beatrice's as well. So if you have not listened to those, please go back and listen to them after listening to this one. As always, if you're not following us on social, please do. We are Dreams and Drive across the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I love it when you guys share. So if you thought this episode was chill, you thought I said something that made sense, please share this with a friend. If there's anything you do, send this to one person that you think they will really find it impactful and, inspiring to their day today. I also would love for you guys to shop the Dreams and Drive merchandise shop. Just go to dreamsanddrive.com/shop and you can shop our hoodies, our crew necks, and our tees. I want everyone who listens to Dreams and Drive to have some Dreams and Drive merch. I really don't think I'm going to do merch again after this run. We have free shipping all the way up until the end of February. And we also have 10% off if you use the code DRIVER. So yeah, go to dreamsanddrive.com/shop. Don't make me hunt you down, because I will. If you told me you want something, I will be sending follow-ups. And if this is too hard for you, if it's, you don't like the whole online thing, you can also still send me a DM and we can do the whole PayPal and Cash App, but I'd rather not. But listen, I'm not going to miss out on the sale. So if you want to do it that way as well, we can definitely do that. So just hit me up on Instagram is probably the best place for that. One more thing. I have not had a new review on Apple Podcasts in a while, and I love when we got reviews. So please, please, please leave a review if you really enjoyed this show. I hope you did. Keep dreaming, keep driving, and we'll chat again in episode 137. Bye, guys.